I'll get to it tomorrow. I'm like, who promised you that? Right? I'll get to it a month from now. I'm like, who promised you that? Right? Because life changes so quick, right? And as people, we're often arrogant. I was one of them. We live our lives and we feel as if we're promised something. Right? But when you think about it, it's like when we try to control things. But when you really think about the macro of life and the grand scheme of life, we really don't have any control, right? We can control what we possess: emotions, attitude, thought process, perspective, how we speak, how we respond. But just life in general, we have no control of that, right? You think about how many people woke up this morning thinking like, man, everything is gonna be great, and life changed, right? One day you wake up on top of the world, next day you wake up, world is on top of you, right? And so it's affected my mentality and my perspective just toward life, how I greet people, how I see people, how I interact, right? Just that one moment and one element of the injury that shaped and molded me as a person. People see the injury. People don't always think about the intricacies of how it shaped and molded and cultivated who I am as a man until this day. Hey man, life don't owe you a thing, right? Like, okay, something happens to you, pick up the pieces, move forward. And so I never thought of anything that happened, anything I went through with my family, like as anything special. Everybody got a story. That's how I view life. Everybody done been through something, right? Everybody's gonna encounter something. And so I never looked at speaking, sharing. I never was the guy like, oh man, this happened to me, let me go share with the world. I was like, nah, ain't, figure it out. Like pick up the pieces, move forward and figure it out. And so when people would say this, I would be like, nah, I'm not trying to speak. Like, I don't want to speak. I remember seeing certain things happen that it caught my attention, right? But I was so in the midst of what had happened to me that it just caught my attention. I think the beautiful thing about adversity and opposition, when you live with it, it teaches you, right? If you're open to it, right? When you live with challenges, it teaches you. And so the reason that I wouldn't change what happened to me or go back and even change the incident is because of not only the man that it shaped and molded me into, but the way it's impacted those close to me. I tell people all the time, man, the easiest thing in the world to do is to be negative.
So easy.
Easiest thing in the world to do is complain. Easiest thing in the world to do is to quit. That's easy. Me and you both can walk out of this building and see something on the streets of LA and say, man, that's whack, and complain about it. Or we can look at it and say, you know what, man, that's really unfortunate. But if they did this, if they can change this about it, I think that can be a beautiful situation.
Yeah.
That's a gift and that's a talent that not everybody has. And it's extremely underrated. Extremely underrated.
Yeah.
But it's extremely powerful when used in the right manner. But it's moments like that that you remember that shape and mold you as a person as you go throughout life. And I think we all have them, right? We all have these moments, right? Whether it be humility moments, whether it be, moments that keep us grounded. It's just we choose sometimes to forget them.
Yes.
But I feel like we all have those encounters that as we navigate and we go and we grow throughout life, it's those moments that keep us grounded, that makes us remember where we come from, that makes us remember how we've gotten to the points that people know us at, that we look back and we think and we reflect on to where we can say, all right, I got it, right? And so it's those moments. So I think you got the experience and then you got the collateral damage of the experience.
Yeah.
How it affects our mindset, how it affects the way we see people, how it affects our emotions. And I think sometimes it's challenging to separate the two and deconstruct the two. And so therefore we hold on to the feelings that the trauma may have given us, right? The feelings that the adversity and the opposition may have given us. And so I think the moment that we can grow through it and figure out a way to use it, I think the quicker we get through it. Because I think it's a powerful thing, Lewis, and I think you probably know this to be true. When we use what happens to us and it creates a light bulb moment for another person, that's a great feeling. It's like when you get something for yourself for Christmas. That's awesome. It feels great. But when you do something for another person that you know is in need, like that feels 10 times better for some reason. And so I take adversity and opposition and I interconnect it the same way.
Yeah.
When we go through things, it hurts or we figure out a way to get through it. But when we share something and we identify with another person to let them know that, because oftentimes when people go through stuff, you feel alone, you feel isolated, and you feel like, man, like, is something wrong with me? And I think what happens when we go through and we create a level of empathy, we show them that, nah, man, you're human. Like, we all go through things. Like, nobody is perfect. Like, I told a guy that had a brachial plexus injury, he's like, man, I see how you got through it. Like, it hasn't been that easy for me. I was like, no, bro, it took work. It took years. Like, this was painful. I went through every emotion that you're probably going through. And I had a lot of people that helped me with them. And so I feel like sometimes it's just the feelings that are attached and interconnected to the experiences that we have that creates the reason that we hold on to it for so long.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the quicker we can get through and use what we go through, the quicker we can go out and we can make the world a better place. One of our big things is attitude drives performance, right? Attitude drives performance. I say to them all the time, when you get negative and you get frustrated, what does it do to your performance? Like, it goes bad. It just gets bigger and bigger, negative and negative. I'm like, exactly. And so when it doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out and you get negative, the lesson is just going to repeat itself until you graduate, right? Until you learn how to celebrate the pain. Sometimes you got to stop focusing and thinking about what could have happened or what should have happened. And you got to live in what is happening, right? Because I always say to him, stop trying to understand it and focus on surviving it. Because the quicker you can survive it, the quicker you can use it. The quicker you can extract a lesson from it. The quicker you can glean perspective from it. And for all of us, we're going to encounter those defining moments in our lives, right? To where it's going to hurt, right? You went through it. I went through it. I remember I said to somebody like, man, it felt like I was in a boxing match and I just got KO'd. Life just knocked me out, bro. And I'm on the mat trying to find my mouthpiece, right? I'm like spitting out blood. I see him over there counting, right? I'm looking at my guy in the corner. He want to throw in the towel. I'm like, not yet. And I find the strength to muster up, to get myself up, be like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. And I'll never forget that person saying, you know what? Life is so cold-blooded, you're going to get knocked out like that again. And again, and again. So the challenge is, will you learn the lessons from it so the lessons doesn't have to keep getting repeated and you keep having to learn it?
Right.
So when you go through these things of opposition, adversity, and challenge, it's always a lesson, it's always a blessing. It's up to us to extract it. And if we're so concerned with trying to understand why, we're gonna miss the lesson, right? We're gonna miss the blessing, and the lesson is gonna keep repeating itself.
I know that from.
Right. Right, and one day I was in a small group because I was connected to community. That was one of the things I did intentionally when I got injured. I was like, man, I need community. I need to be connected to, whether it's spiritually, whether it's life groups, I need to be connected. And it was a guy, shout out to my guy Gus, older guy, like in his 70s. I got a couple restaurants, East Tennessee, had him in Atlanta, sold them, did really well in life. We're in a small group one night, discussing some things, and he says, man, you're selfish. I was like, me? I'm like, no, man, I'm probably one of the most unselfish people you know. He was like, no, man, like, you're selfish. You think your injury and what happened to you is just about you. I was like, it happened to me. He was like, no, but you thinking it's just about you. I was like, it happened to me. He was like, no, Ink. He was like, the things we go through in life, man, they're not just for us, right? Once we get to a place of peace and we figure out how to deal with it, it's our responsibility to go out and share that.
Right.
It's like not before the world all the time, but just to share it. Because other people go through things, right? Other people are fighting. Just go out and share it. And it was the first time I had got hit with something to where I pondered it, right? To where I was like, make a nice point.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
A good point. Attitude is a small thing that we often underestimate, but we really can control that. And so that's the key to life. I think sometimes when things don't go our way, the quote says it. You judge the true character and caliber of a person not by where they stand in times of comfort and convenience. You judge the true character and caliber of a person by where they stand in times of challenge and controversy, right? It's an incredible thing, and character can be cultivated in the midst of opposition and adversity. That's the reason it says it. It's King's quote. It doesn't say you judge character by how a person responds when everything is going good. They know how you're going to respond.
Right.
Happy-go-lucky, celebrate, hand clap, great, hippie parade. But when things go wrong, things don't go the way you want them to, they don't unfold the way you want them to, who are you? Because that's the true test of who you are as a person. That's your true character. That's the essence and the ethos of who you are as a person. Everybody is going to smile when the sun's shining, man. But the song says it. Can you stand the rain, baby? Like it says it.
Yeah.
And so in light, can you stand the rain? That's the true test of character. Sometimes, Ink, we can be so focused on who a person can become that we forget to acknowledge who they are and where they are. She's like, sometimes we just gotta acknowledge who they are and where they are. Make it 89 and they gave their best at it. Hey man, great job. Sometimes they're gonna have a 95. Sometimes they're gonna have a 104, right? But as their father, it's my job to always be supportive, to always be empathetic, to always be understanding. Of course, correction comes, accountability comes, but at the end of the day, they should always know that I'm gonna be loving, I'm gonna be understanding, and if you do your best and you say that's your best effort, that's enough.
That's big, yeah.
I can live with that. And just go out, man, and just be a good person, man. Like it don't cost nothing to go out and offer a kind word to a person every day. It don't cost nothing to go do a random act of kindness. It don't cost nothing to go out and just share a word of encouragement to somebody. Like every day, just doing our part to make the world a better place. It doesn't take anything grand, right? Like it doesn't take anything special. Just go out every single day and do our part. And just watch the triple effect of that when we go out and we serve. You know what I'm saying? And so just make the world a better place, man.
Be a kind human being. That's the key, man.
It don't cost a thing.
It doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? Just go out and be a good person, man. I heard Kobe say something great, and I know you asked mine, but I gotta say this. He said every single day I was pursuing greatness, even though I knew I would probably never catch it. Just the fact that I was willing to pursue it, I would defeat most of my opponents because they would never pursue something that didn't have any guarantees attached to it. So when I think greatness, I think about having the courage to pursue it. Because most people won't even pursue greatness because they feel as if it's something that's so far-fetched that they'll never attain it. I feel true greatness is having the courage to just involve yourself in the pursuit, the process of trying to be your greatest self, right? Self-mastery is the constant pursuit. So being willing to show up every single day and constantly pursue greatness of trying to be our best selves. The first one, this too shall pass. Whatever you encounter, whatever you go through. And I say this obviously referring to tough moments, right? This too shall pass, right? Every storm has an expiration date. Every storm runs out of rain. This too shall pass would be the first one. Learn the art of patience, right? Be patient. In the midst of good times and bad times, learn the art of patience. Patience will reveal certain things to you about situations, circumstances, and yourself that you didn't know exist. And always be willing to be empathetic, right? For most of us, right, when things happen, we have sympathy for people, right? Like, oh man, that's really unfortunate what happened to that person. We have sympathy. I think the power of empathy is when somebody goes through something or somebody is dealing with something, empathy says, hey, Lewis, I'm with you, bro. You got it. I'm gonna walk with you, man. Call me if you need me. That's empathy. Sympathy is, man, you see what Lewis going through? It's tough. I hope he gets through it. Empathy is, hey, bro, I'll be willing to walk through the fire with you if you need it.
Yeah.
Right? Be empathetic.